Hello. This video I've been thinking about this topic for the last few weeks. It's about the Ark of the Covenant and the Sunday law that will be enforced. Okay, sorry. Now I heard a story about the Ark of the Covenant over a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and this was the first time I ever heard it. I hadn't heard it mentioned ever before, and I went to lay down to rest, and I was laying on the couch and I was watching TV and I was flicking through the Christian channels, and I thought this particular program looked alright to watch. It just had started. It was about the Ark of the Covenant, and I'm not going to ruin the whole story, but by the end of the program I was so amazed by what I saw. I spent the next 2 solid months at least, when I was up to it, researching everything I could about the story to see if I could find any cracks in the story, to see if it wasn't real, and to hear both sides of the perspective and things like that. Okay. Now, from my perspective, I think the story is real. Now, I'm not going to ruin the whole thing. I'll link the video that I saw in the description box, so if people haven't heard it, they can look at it themselves. So, in this story, a man called Ron White claimed that he had found the Ark of the Covenant, and he has videos and photos and stuff, when you look into it, of his journey and his expedition. Now, what is the Ark of the Covenant? In Scripture, in the Old Testament, Moses, when he was on the mountain, Mount Sinai, God wrote on 2 tables of stone the 10 Commandments, and God would tell Moses and the people to build a tabernacle so he could come and dwell with them, and in that tabernacle he told them to build holy objects that were mirroring what it was like in heaven on earth, and so God would come and dwell with them. And he told them to make a number of holy objects, including things like the table of showbread, or the golden censer, the candlestick, things like that. And one thing he told them to make was the Ark of the Covenant, and this was the holiest object on earth. The Ark it was made out of a certain wood, I'd have to double check, and gold. It was basically like the shape of a box, and on top of the Ark was it was called the mercy seat, and it was overlaid with gold, and it had 2 golden cherubim facing one another. And it says in Scripture that God's Spirit resides or dwells between the 2 cherubim on top of the mercy seat. And this Ark was meant to house the 10 Commandments, the 2 tables of stone, and so it was the holiest object on earth. And so it was basically like God's throne on earth. And in this tabernacle there'd be 2 veils. In the first part of the tabernacle was some holy objects, and in the holiest part of all in the tabernacle, where a veil was blocking it, was where the Ark and a few other things were. And it was only once a year that a high priest would come into that holiest place where the Ark is, and sprinkle blood of an innocent creature, like a goat or a lamb, on top of the mercy seat to cover all the people of their sins. Okay. And so if anyone, tried to go near the Ark or touch it when they weren't supposed to, they would die. Okay. It was the holiest object on earth. The last we hear about the Ark that I know of is in the story of Maccabees, or 2nd Maccabees. Now, this story was apparently originally in the Bible but was taken out, but I've got the story right here. Okay, and I'll just read you the bit of where we last hear about the Ark. This is chapter 2. It is also found in the records that Jeremiah the prophet commanded them that were carried away to take the fire as it hath been signified, and how that the prophet, having given them the law, charged them not to forget the commandments of the Lord, and that they should not err in their minds when they see images of silver and gold with their ornaments. And with other such speeches exhorted he them, that the law should not depart from their hearts. It was also contained in the same writing that the prophet, being warned of God, commanded the tabernacle and the ark to go with him, as he went forth into the mountain where Moses climbed up, and saw the heritage of God. And when Jeremiah came thither, he found an hollow cave wherein he laid the tabernacle, and the ark, and the altar of incense, and so stopped the door. And some of them that followed him came to mark the way, but they could not find it. Which when Jeremiah perceived, he blamed them, saying, As for that place, it shall be unknown until the time that God gather his people again together, and receive them unto mercy. So that's the last we hear of the Ark that I know of, the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, just quickly give you that backstory if anyone doesn't know what it is. Okay, but this video describes all that. Now the man Ron Wyatt, when he claimed that he had found the Ark, and he went back again to the place where it was, when he went back to the place where it was, where he found it, in a cave, he saw 4 holy angels standing on either side of the ark, and they told him to film all these things, and they said to him all these things would be shown to the world. The words of the angel were, when the Sunday law is enforced, and the angels apparently lifted up the mercy seat and told Ron to take the 2 tables of stone out and film them. And so the angel said all of this will be shown to the world when the Sunday law is enforced. Okay, so if the story is real, and Ron was led by God and a holy man of God to discover these things that he has discovered, then that means we must take what the angels, we must consider what the words of the angel were. In some of Ron's interviews, this was the only little crack that I found in all the thing that I searched. In some of his interviews, he would say, when the mark of the beast law is enforced, all of this would be shown to the world. But he clarified in other interviews, in a number of interviews, and even before he died, that the words of the angel were, when the Sunday law is enforced. Now, Ron Wyatt was a 7-day Adventist, and the 7-day Adventists have been taught for many years that worshipping on the Sunday is the mark of the beast, and that's incorrect. Worshipping on a Sunday is not the mark of the beast, but it might all play a part in the final hour. And so there is some truth to it, but the devil takes the truth and then corrupts it. Okay, so I thought that because he was saying, because his own understanding of what the Sunday law meant, that's why he would sometimes say the mark of the beast law enforced, because he understands that the Sunday worship is the mark of the beast. But he clarified that the angel's words were, when the Sunday law is enforced. Okay. So if this is real, that means the words of the angel are real. Sorry, I'm trying to not make this confusing, but my head's dizzy, it's hard. Okay. Okay. So, after researching the story, I was amazed by the story. After researching it for a number of months, when I could, I then considered, well, the words of the angel must be real if the story is real. So there must be something in a Sunday law. So I asked the Lord, because I knew it wasn't just the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast is to do with buying and selling. So I asked the Lord, what is the Sunday law that's enforced? And I don't know when it was. It must have been a little while after that, or even a number of months after that. I can't remember, but I wasn't even thinking about it, but I had asked him that question. And one night when I was sleeping, I had a dream. And I've shared this dream before. So in the dream, I can't say everything I want to say here, but I have said it in another video. In the dream, it was dark. I couldn't see everything and how it looked, but it was dark, and I knew that, well, it was very evil. It felt really evil, and so I'm not sure if the dark just because it was nighttime or if it represented the evil. Okay. But it was really dark, and I saw a bunch of people, or lots of people, gathered together to worship the beast and his image on a Sunday. Okay. Then when I woke up, I thought, oh, okay, is that the Sunday law that's enforced? Because they were worshipping the beast and his image on a Sunday. If we go to Revelation 13, it talks about a second beast and what he requires of the whole world. And he requires the whole world to take the mark, and he requires the whole world to worship the beast and make an image to the beast and worship that. So he requires the whole world to do that. So that would be like a law enforced. And I'm wondering if he requires the whole world to do that on a Sunday. And so that would be the Sunday law enforced. And so if that is the case, Ron said in one of his interviews that, you know, he would be cynical too. But if just he asked to reserve your judgment until all these things are fulfilled. So maybe we could do that. I think it is real though. Okay. So if that is the case, then that happens during the hour of temptation when all of this stuff reaches its fullest point. So that is when all the 10 Commandments in the Ark would be shown to the world. Ron found this about 40 years ago, and when he found it, he was so eager. All he wanted to do was to tell the whole world what he found, what God showed him. And a number of things stopped him, including God. And every time he tried to show pictures of everything, God would like blur the pictures or things like that. When I had done my research about this, I decided I was looking through all his videos and all his pictures, and then I was flicking through Google images when I typed in the Ark of the Covenant found. A bunch of fake Ark of the Covenants, replicas and stuff showed up. And I was flicking through them, and then I stopped at one particular picture and I got a fright because I thought, that looks real. I clicked on that picture, and when I looked at it close up, I saw a spiritual face just to the side of one of the golden cherubims. And to me, this looked extremely real. And it was the same camera lens, the same atmosphere, the same energy as all Ron's other pictures. So I knew it was from him, even though when I researched it, I couldn't find much about anyone speaking about it when I looked back then. Okay. It described everything that it was like the same as everything that he described. And people could say, well, he could recreate it, but he could, but to me it looked real. Okay. And even in the background you can see like a white gown that could be an angel standing in the corner, because he said there were 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the ark. Now I'll show you that picture. I printed it off, but you can't see it very well. But I'll try and link a video. To me that looks real. I don't know what other people think, but that's just what I think. That's my opinion. And can you see the spiritual face? And there's the white gown in the background. You can't see it very well in this picture because it's not clear, but so there's a whole lot. So I'm going to link that video under the description box if I'm sure lots of people have seen it, but just in case anyone hasn't.